The gentleman's time has expired. Ms. Manning, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Acting Secretary Sue, I would like to thank you so much for your many years of extraordinary service to our country. In response to remarks made at the top of this hearing, I'd like to clarify for the record that the prior president used the cabinet and cabinet-level jobs as a virtual temp agency with 22 cabinet and cabinet-level officials who served in an acting capacity for a total of 2,736 days, including Acting Secretary of Defense, Acting Secretary of Homeland Security, Acting Secretary of the Interior, Labor, Veterans Affairs, Secretary of State, OMB, EPA, and Acting Chief of Staff, to name just a few. Our job here today is not to beat up on you for things that are beyond your control, but to find out how we can help solve the workforce shortages our employers are facing, how we can help protect workers, our constituents, who are taken advantage of by unscrupulous employers, and help those businesses that are doing the right things for their workers but have trouble competing with employers who cheat or abuse their employees. So I'd like to start by talking about wage theft. Wage theft occurs when employers don't pay the full wages due to their employees. This includes paying workers less than minimum wage, not paying overtime to workers who work more than 40 hours a week, or asking employees to work off the clock before or after their shifts, and we know this happens. So do you have an estimate of the total amount of the U.S. Department of Labor has recovered on behalf of workers due to wage theft?
I do. Thank you so much, Congresswoman, for that. So in FY23, we recovered $156 million in wages for working people. And it's worth noting that the overwhelming amount of those wages come from unpaid overtime wages.
So over the last several years, the Wage and Hour Division's total enforcement staff has declined. This has resulted in fewer on-site investigations, yet my colleagues across the aisle are proposing significant cuts to that division. Can you explain why it's important to have funding necessary to put boots on the ground to ensure workers are being paid what they're owed?
Yes, Congresswoman. I mean, oftentimes the Department of Labor's enforcement is the first and last line of defense, especially for workers who do not have the benefit of a union, who do not have other ways of protecting themselves against wage theft. Now, it's worth noting that the vast majority of employers are trying to do the right thing. They have a business model in which they are supportive of their workers and understand why investing in their workers is the best investment that they can make. Those employers also need strong enforcement to ensure that there is a level playing field for them to compete on. And so if we do not have adequate resources to investigate, and even as it is, we're thoughtful and smart and strategic about how we devote our resources. We don't investigate every employer. We don't need to. We shouldn't. We shouldn't investigate anybody who's in full compliance with the law. But even there, the wage theft that we see, the child labor that has grown, we need to have the resources to be able to combat
So let
those.
me move to the child labor issues, because we've really seen an explosion in child labor abuse cases in the last decade. And again, you're addressing this problem with record low numbers of staff in the Wage and Hour Division, and also a resource-starved solicitor of labor office. What are the effects of your ability to enforce with less staff, and how would proposed cuts harm this mission?
Right. I mean, it's really horrific, the kinds of child labor cases that we are uncovering. We're talking about 13-year-olds working on the kill floor of a meatpacking plant on the overnight shift with dangerous chemicals. We're talking about a 16-year-old who recently lost his life working as a sawmill operator. I mean, these are jobs that are dangerous and illegal for children to be doing. We're not talking about a young person learning how to show up on time and do a good job and deal with customers in a job that is appropriate for a young person. And so our ability, children working on roofs I mean, our ability to be clear that when employers engage in those practices, that they cannot just consider it, the chance of getting caught to be slim and the consequences if they do get caught to be minimal. We have to change that calculus, and having a strong investigative capability is really important to that.
Thank you. My time has expired, and I yield back.